Hello, everybody. It's Mike here, and we are live again, and we're here. So, Shanda is here with us again, and we're gonna finish up the interview that we did from last week, and so we are really excited. We've been excited about this. So, let's get to it. Renelle won't be here with us tonight. She had some things come up and she couldn't make it. So we are just going to do this with me and Shonda and go from there. Hello, Shonda.
Hi.
How's it going?
Great.
Good. I'm glad you're back. So,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, we're excited. I'm excited. I say we are excited, but she's not here. Renelle's not here, so it's just, me and you. But you know what? I think you're excited too.
I am.
So I'll say we're excited.
Okay. That'll
I
work.
can speak for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyway, let's get right to it then. I guess I said that already, but then I, started blabbering. But where we left off last time was we were talking about there was uh, a tree that you experienced as part of your like being. It became a part of you, and we are gonna kind of pick up from there. But first, I wanted to cover something that happened since last week for the viewers, and they can, that you remembered, which it's kind of crazy because this experience, when you told it to me, it's like, what? How can you forget something like that?
You know what? I met a woman last night. I have a massage therapist
Mm-hmm.
that comes and gives me a massage twice a week.
Okay,
She's kind of like a spiritual healer. She's an amazing person.
I love that.
But her roommate for years, I've heard lots about this woman.
Mm-hmm.
She brought her. And I was sitting here telling her about that. And she was like, just amazed that I could remember it in such detail and had only gained that memory just a few days ago.
Yeah, like I've experienced trauma from my childhood that I had a hard time remembering, and
Yeah.
it when it comes back to you, it's usually in short spurts and little.
Oh man, no. Man, I've had some things happen to me when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came back like pow, you know.
Wow, like
Hmm.
wow, that is different
And
than.
that's how this was. I was like, how did I forget that?
Yeah, and we'll clue you guys in, the audience here, with what we're talking about. I think you'll be surprised too. But uh, she was engaged, and that fell through. So she was in a rough place, right?
Hmm.
And that's kind of where I'll leave her to tell the story. But that's kind of where we start. So go ahead, Sean. Let's hear it.
Um, I was 19 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and at summer camp, I became really close to this guy named Tommy,
Okay.
and who also has a form of muscular dystrophy, Duchenne's to be exact,
Okay.
which it's a horrible, horrible disease,
Mm-hmm.
and people don't live to be very old at all, maybe 30, you
Oh
know.
wow.
And he was an amazing person. He was so funny. He always made me laugh. And we were going to get married. We had the church paid for, everything. And it was my birthday. And my best friend, I won't say his name, but he used to pick me up every birthday and take me to a movie to celebrate. And he picked me up. We went to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we got tickets for Cadillac Man that had Robert Williams in it.
Oh, Cadillac Man.
Yeah, and you would think it would have been funny,
Mm-hmm.
it was stupid. And we got bored, quickly,
Yeah.
and we left.
Mm.
And we drove around and we went to a pool hall, and there wasn't anybody there. It was boring, and I wasn't having a good time, so we left.
Okay.
And we went to another bar, and the tables were real high, and it was too smoky,
Mm.
and so we left. Drove around. We decided to go sit at the river and just talk. And he pulled into a gas station, bought a 6-pack, and we went to the river. He opened the doors to the van, opened the lift,
Mm-hmm.
and I turned around facing him, and we talked. He drank, I didn't. And, he started touching me, and I felt really uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
because that was my best friend.
Right.
And we made out. We didn't go all the way,
Yeah.
but the trust had been broken.
Yeah. Because you told your fiance almost like right away, like
Mm-hmm.
when you guys talked, because I know you in this past 3 weeks, and you are an honest person in general, I believe. And
Mm-hmm.
so at least that's how I have perceived things. And so I couldn't hold on to something like that either. So I
My
get it.
my sister, she used to tell her friends, if you want to know the truth, go ask Chanda.
Yeah. So I'll be careful what questions I ask you then, because maybe I don't want to know.
Yeah. But anyway, he broke up with me. We got back together a week later. He came to visit. We spent the day together. But it wasn't the same.
Yeah. When something
And
like that happens, it takes the type of healing that's required, especially, I mean, it would be very difficult when it's that early on and you're not already married. It'd be hard enough if it was already there, right?
mm-hmm.
But yeah, that'd be very difficult and difficult to deal with.
It's something that you don't ever forget, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But anyway, we broke up for good, and that was when I realized how much I really did love him.
It's painful.
And I was miserable, and I did not want to live. I I went through the house looking for pills to take,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't find anything that I knew would finish the job off.
Yeah.
I mean, I found
Yeah.
like Advil and cold medicine.
Tylenol would do it.
Yeah.
Took enough of
Um,
it.
but there wasn't enough of anything.
Ah, I feel you.
So,
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I'll probably edit that out because that's something you don't want to say.
but I mean, anyway, I went through my mom and dad's bedroom. They had a screened in porch
Okay.
outside of their bedroom. They had like French doors. You open them up and you were on the porch.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad had been drinking the night before. And there was a gigantic bottle of wild turkey.
And for those of us that don't know, like I'm ignorant. What is wild turkey and
It's a whiskey, I believe it was.
okay.
Yeah, it's a whiskey, and it was 101 proof,
Okay, I get that.
and
That I understand. Wow.
that like you could take a shot of that and be drunk if you weren't a drinker, and I wasn't. I weighed
Mm,
95 pounds, but I wanted to die, and I knew that
yeah.
that would do the job.
Yeah.
And I I think I had these 16-ounce cups, and I filled up four of them, and I think that's a half a gallon. We'll have to check, but I think that is a half a
It was how many 15-ounce cups?
gallon. They were 16-ounce cups,
Oh, okay.
four of them,
Yeah, I think that is half a gallon.
and I chugged it.
Mm,
And I don't even know how I did it because that's, I don't know, that's some hard stuff right there. But I did. And I went down the hallway to my bedroom.
mm-hmm.
And when I was turning to go in my room, I ran into the door and my head fell back. And with my disease, it wastes your muscles, and I didn't have muscles in my neck. That's why, like right now, every time you see me, I have a pillow behind my neck.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I can't hold my head up.
So yeah, so your back facing
Mm-hmm.
straight up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't move back even if you wanted to.
Mm-mm. But I had this maneuver I would do with my wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
where I would push forward real fast and then jerk backwards, and
Okay.
it would the gravity would
Yeah.
pull my head up.
Yeah. Everyone's experienced that when they've driven a car and just stopped, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, that'll launch you forward.
yeah. But apparently, when you're drunk, that does not work.
You just press. Just, I'm gonna start this, and then 5 minutes later, you remember to pull back.
But what I did was I when I was trying to pop my head up, I ran into a table that I had in my room,
Mm.
and my hand went up under that table with it still on the joystick
Oh.
and going forward full speed, and the motor was running, 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 running. And back then, those type of chairs, the batteries had sulfuric acid.
That's some serious stuff.
Mm-hmm. And sulfuric acid started spilling over.
Mm.
And I was breathing that, and I was extremely, extremely wasted.
And your head is still back.
Uh huh. And I started to throw up, and some came out, and some didn't. I aspirated, and I couldn't breathe. And I remember I remember saying, God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't want to die. Please help me. And at that time, I could see my friend Sheila, whom, who I've been friends with since we were like 12. And she was taking courses at the college that was right down the street from my house.
Okay.
And I saw her getting in her car to leave. And as she was passing by the house or about to,
Mm-hmm.
she was thinking, I need to go see Chanda. And she thought that every day. I need to go see Chanda.
But this day, she.
She she said she felt like she had to. Um, um, my mom and dad, they were upper upper middle class.
Okay.
Had the fancy house and cars,
Yeah.
everything you could ever want. And Sheila came from lower class.
Okay.
She was her family struggled like a lot of families struggled.
Yeah.
And Sheila felt like my mother didn't think she was good enough to be her daughter's friend.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is sad because Sheila was probably one of the best friends I ever had, to be truthful about it. Sheila was real, like I am.
Mm.
She was real. And she, on any other day, if she pulled up in the driveway and saw no cars and came to the door and rang the doorbell and no one answered the door, she would have just left.
Like most people, also. I mean, how often were you left home alone? I would assume not very often.
A lot.
Okay, so a lot. Never mind, people. I was incorrect.
You would think that.
Yeah, probably. But it was a while. I mean, in those times it was different than it is today. Today, yeah.
Well, I was I was very independent. I wasn't always as, the disease is progressive, so I
Hmm.
wasn't as bad, but I was pretty bad.
I mean, you were in at that point a wheelchair,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you had more upper body strength though, right?
A
Like,
little more, like
okay,
I could say, like if I dropped a piece of paper on my footrest, I could bend over and pick it up.
okay,
But if I dropped, something that was 5 pounds on my footrest, I could not pick it up.
okay. So you could lift your own body weight
Yeah,
to a degree.
a little. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I could, um, I figured out ways of doing things differently
Mm-hmm.
that worked. Like opening the door, I would turn the knob and use my wheelchair to
Okay.
help, push it open. But anyway, Sheila, rang the doorbell, knocked on the door, nobody answered, and she opened the door and stuck her head in
That's
and said,
bold.
"Is anyone home? Chanda?" No answer.
At that point, you're like, okay, I was bold enough. I should probably back out. And I'm so glad she didn't do that.
Me too. But she stepped in and looked at the living room, which was immediately to the left, and didn't see anyone. Took a few steps more and looked down the hallway to the right, and she saw me. And she freaked out. She ran down the hallway. She, oh my God, Chandra, are you okay? She was shaking me, trying to set my head up, and she saw that my chair, was had malfunctioned, she thought,
Mm.
and she jerked it. And that chair was heavy. It was probably about 250 pounds with me sitting in it, maybe
And
more.
that's not even including the force of it moving forward still because your hand was
Right.
still on the forward pedal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, that'd make the weight, however, whatever the math would be on that, it'd be heavier or
And
harder.
really, I think that it was actually heavier than that.
Mm.
But anyway, well, it was heavy. She jerked the chair and pulled it out. And she turned the chair off and she put her head to my chest and she was trying to see if she heard a heartbeat and she couldn't
Mm.
hear a heartbeat. And she grabbed my phone, which was we didn't have cell phones. It was one of those handheld phones.
One of the cordless handheld phones. That
Yeah.
yeah.
And she couldn't figure out how to turn it on. And she threw it across the room and shattered it.
That's the that's
later
kind of
on,
crazy. Yeah.
later on, we were laughing about it. She was like, "Oh, you a phone."
Let's get you
I was
a
like,
phone with a big button.
"Right," but she ran out of the house, screaming down the street. And my neighbor, he was like not all the way to the end, but close to the end of the street, probably like 6 or 7 houses away.
Okay.
Him and his wife were out in the front lawn doing, yard work, and they heard her, and the wife went inside to call 911,
Mm.
and he ran back with her. And with the sulfuric acid in the air, he thought, oh my God, it's gas.
Mm.
They didn't know that the house was all electric.
Okay.
And he was like, we got to get her out of here. And they were struggling to take my strap off to help me in the chair.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get it unfastened, but they loosened it up to
Okay.
where they could slip it over my head. And he picked me up, carried me outside. At that time, I had already wet myself.
Naturally. At that
And,
point in a situation like that, yeah.
and I'm gone. I'm like not breathing.
Unconscious, right?
Yeah. But I see everything.
Yeah, which is a yeah. That's which when she says she sees everything, she was there, unconscious, but still able to. She still experienced all of it through closed
Mm-hmm.
eyes,
Yeah.
and she could see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I saw when the fire truck pulled up. Um, one of the EMTs was a friend of ours from high school. His name was David.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. That's another David that I messed around with,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Oh, that was his name, huh? David.
yeah, interesting.
Hmm.
Anyway, David saw me and he goes, "Oh my God, I know her." And his partner said, "Are you okay? Can you do this?" And he said, "Yeah, let's do it." And from that point on, I don't remember anything until I'm in the hospital.
Okay.
Wait, no, I do remember. Hold on. My mom and sister pulled up at that time, right
Oh.
when, after he said, let's do this, they pulled up.
Oh, and what kind of scene is that to drive up on?
My sister, I remember her saying, my mom was freaking out, and my sister was like, you gotta calm down. They don't need this.
Yeah.
Because she was really freaking out.
Yeah.
She was questioning Sheila, like Sheila had done something to her
Yeah.
daughter.
What have you done?
Hmm.
You're here with my daughter. She
Yeah,
probably smelled alcohol because you were
you.
absolutely,
What did you give her? You
yeah.
gave her something.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
but no, she didn't. And
She saved your life.
she did.
She listened to the spirit giving her
Yes,
promptings to come in and get you and pull you out. And
that's that's why I always tell people follow your gut.
and more specifically, I think that colloquialism, if that's how you say it, is. But what do you mean when you're saying that? Like, what is it that you mean? Just Like what feeling is what I'm saying. Where does that come from? That's a okay. That might be a loaded question.
Yeah. Um, should I go on?
Yeah, if we can edit that part out.
Um, I woke up at the hospital throwing up, and I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with the being that wasted,
Mm-hmm.
having alcohol poisoning is what they said, and breathing the sulfuric acid, it caused my brain, like, I could hear like a buzz sound, like bzz, bzz. It was crazy.
Reminds me of that bat from Ferngully.
Right?
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I do. That's funny. But yeah, and that was like that for like 10 days. I didn't think I was ever gonna be normal again, like I'm normal.
The same.
Yeah,
Just be the same. And that's a
but
scary feeling.
mhm. But it quit buzzing, and I made up my mind that I wasn't gonna let someone take my power. I wasn't going to allow it. I'm always telling people, take your power back.
Mm.
Remember who you are.
Yeah.
Because the real you is really out there. People call it your higher self. That's the real you. We're not really here. It's just a little piece of what we really are. This body, it's a suit.
Yeah. And it does house a spirit, but that doesn't mean that we don't exist in other places, right? So like we're experiencing this for real, and that's our spirit um, in the body. But it's much yeah, it's much more than that.
My last experience that I had is when I learned that, like, this is just like, have you ever played the Sims game?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. We're out there and we're just playing a game, trying to figure out things and get to a higher level, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like that.
But then but we are experiencing it. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a real experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's so you grow, you learn, you move on to something else. And then I guess when you've experienced everything you can here, maybe we go somewhere else. when I was a kid, I used to lay in bed and think about everything out there. Like, I was so curious as to who God was, where He was. I heard preachers saying God is everywhere. And then I started thinking things, and I'm 8 years old, mind you. I remember laying in bed thinking, what if we're a molecule inside of God?
Which is a deep thought for, an 8-year-old. It's a deep thought for an
It's a
adult.
deep thought for anybody,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But what if I'm right?
What if you are?
What if the earth is just a cell? Which is, that's another thing I need to mention. Because when I had the last one, when I saw the earth, I was like, it looked like it had an energy field around it, but it looked like it was separating.
Separating in what way?
Like a cell
Oh,
separates to become two.
okay.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
That is interesting. I mean, what that would mean, I'm not 100% sure, but what I imagine is that there's, like in, best thing I can think of right now is in Marvel, where they have this universe that is multiple different realities at once.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's separating and creating more than just one.
Recently, it's been about 2 months ago,
Okay.
maybe 3. I ran across on YouTube this lady. Her name is Dolores Cannon,
Okay.
and she was like, she reminded me of my grandmother, who was from Arkansas, and I think that's where Dolores was from. And so just that is what drew me in,
Okay.
and I started listening to what she was saying, and she was talking about a new earth, and she mentioned that it was literally going to separate and become two. And we would not even know what was happening.
Would these be in two different frequencies? Or how would it?
I don't know because I haven't had time to go and research, exactly what she was
Referring?
talking
Okay.
about. But she went on to be, she was one of the first female metaphysiologists, and she was a hypnotherapist.
Okay. Renell's a hypnotherapist.
Yeah, that's interesting. But this woman, when she was hypnotizing or whatever these people, they started talking to her like they were another being. And at first, it kind of like she didn't know what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And she said it kept happening. And it wasn't just, one person,
Mm-hmm.
but several people. These aliens or whatever you want to call them were coming through, channeling through these people.
Who were under hypnotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
And they identified themselves as that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was it to actually communicate directly to this metaphysicist, or was it more of a general broadcast?
Yeah, more of a general broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah, you really should. If you have time, look it up, look her up.
Okay.
She's a really interesting person, and she is no longer on planet Earth. I would love to sit and talk with her.
You mean, so she passed away? Not.
Yeah,
Okay.
she passed away a few years ago. But man,
Well,
I
when
could
something
have.
rings true to that, like that, was something that you haven't really had an answer to, that you saw, right?
Mm-hmm,
If something can explain it in a similar way, of
mm-hmm.
course, it's like, whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes
because
sense.
that's what I was thinking in my head. Like, it looked like a cell. But, I kind of just pushed it aside because I didn't really know what to
Mm.
think of it. There was a lot of things that I didn't really know what to think of. But I saw it was really, it was crazy. I saw a lot.
Yeah, and I wanna actually dive into that a little bit more. Was there anything else that was in between the tree, like because we talked last time about the tree experience? Was there anything else in between that and when you had this other experience that you wanted to really dig into tonight, or did you want to spend all your time just going into? Because I'm sure there's plenty of stuff we could talk about. So where do you want to go with that?
Um, I need to talk about how I got to that point because it all matters.
Yeah, I agree.
The tree. Oh wow. So um shortly after that experience with the tree
Mm-hmm.
is when I met my um, future husband at that point.
Okay.
Um, my I bought my first computer. It was a gigantic desktop computer, and I had heard about the internet, and I wanted to get on the internet.
Mm-hmm. What is
And
this? What is this intranets thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
like you could talk to other people,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chat rooms.
chat rooms, and yeah. And my brother-in-law, he got me hooked up on AOL.
Mm. You've got mail.
Yeah, and he taught me how to search, and I was LDS.
Which you became LDS at 23, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how long? This was at when? What point?
Did we talk about that?
No, not in any of the, not in last week's interview or yet. Me and you have, but we haven't put on the show.
I was 23 when, and okay, yep, gotta bear my testimony. Here I
Oh, here it goes. I love it. I do.
go. I was 23 and I was really, really searching for the truth.
Oh
And
wait, we did share it.
did
I'm
we?
sorry. Yeah, we talked about it last time. I Once you said those words, I was like, wait, I was wrong.
Okay.
So
So then we're going to fast forward to.
yes, I'm gonna fast forward.
Okay. I met my future husband online,
Okay.
LDS Teen Girls Online,
Oh.
and our story was on their website.
Oh, afterwards, so they
Yeah,
went back at a testimonial.
for about 10 years. It
Oh
was,
wow.
yeah. And you know what? That they actually, people that hook up on there, they they get married. I've met a lot of people that have met on the LDS singles.
Which I don't even know. Do they do it anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean that that's what they go on looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you go there because uh, it's preached that family is important and you need to get married, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
And
yeah,
you wanna hook up with somebody that gets you and what you believe in, right?
yeah, absolutely.
And I wanted the priesthood in my house.
Yeah.
And I met him. I knew instantly. I got 15 messages from 15 different guys.
Mm. You were
I
popular.
I talked to one
Mm-hmm.
and became friends with him for a little bit. And I saw my future husband,
Mm-hmm.
and just by seeing his picture, I knew he had MD.
Okay. That's
And
muscular dystrophy, if
uh-huh,
right, yeah.
he has Becker's, to be exact.
Okay.
But anyway, I saw him and I thought, well, we could be friends. We'd have something to talk about.
Yeah.
And we chatted probably 5 hours a day
Oh, yeah.
for
Wow.
a month and decided that we wanted to meet.
Okay.
And it was easier for him to come to me than me to go to him
Okay. Is there a reason?
because he could still walk at
Oh,
that time, didn't have to worry about, you know,
yeah.
it's always an ordeal for me to go anywhere.
I could imagine.
But anyway, we met. He stayed at the house, my mom and dad's house, for a week.
Okay.
And we decided we wanted to make that visit longer.
Mm.
So he told his brother that he was going to stay another week.
Mm.
And after 9 days, we were engaged.
Yeah.
And
It's a love story, baby, just say yes. That's Taylor Swift, I think.
Oh.
I think it is.
Anyway, 4 months later, we were married in the temple in Dallas. We moved into an apartment. And what's funny is the apartment that we moved into, I lived in when I became independent. Remember that story?
Yeah.
I left my mom and dad's home and moved into my own apartment. And it was the same exact apartment.
Wow. Was that, you just liked it, or?
It was the one that was available.
Oh.
Which is weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Because there were only a few handicapped apartments.
Okay.
And it had just become available. Usually there's a big waiting list.
Especially back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that now here.
Oh, really?
Everywhere. Because since Hurricane Harvey, you know, a lot of people were homeless.
Oh, man.
They had to move into apartments. But, we lived in an apartment for 2 years. And our marriage, it was very challenging. Very. I felt
feel for you there. I really do. That's hard, and it's hard for even the best of marriages. But when it becomes difficult, especially from that soon, it's, yeah, it'd be hard.
I knew in the first 2 years that I wanted out. Because he had Asperger's, and I didn't know, he didn't know. And I kept telling myself there's something not right. Because we couldn't connect. Yeah, we had a religion in common and a disease in common, but we couldn't connect.
Which is the...
He didn't see me. Your spouse should see you.
Absolutely.
Know you.
Yeah.
And if they don't, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But year 2, I told him I wanted out. And he freaked out and cried and threatened suicide, and, you know. So I stayed. I stayed and I stayed and I stayed and I stayed. And I said, we can't stay here then, because he couldn't find work. And we were poor as hell. I got pregnant almost right away. And I was supposed to be bedbound. And That's another story that, and it's important.
Without you getting pregnant,
Yeah.
I, I would say
It,
so, just in a general sense. But yeah,
my entire family ganged up on me. And they were against it. And my dad told me that I was committing suicide.
and I mean, with your disease, what is the prognosis? Does that look and affect? Like, what does that look
Well,
like?
you have to understand that that was a long time ago.
Okay.
My baby would be in her 20s right now. um, I went to my neurologist who specializes in my disease,
Mm-hmm.
and she said the same thing, that basically by the fifth month you'll be on the ventilator and you will never get off. And the baby, if it survived, would uh, had a 50-50 chance of having what he had. And so everyone was against me having that baby. And I was scared. Hell yeah, I was
Yeah.
scared. I was still young. I'd never been pregnant. I didn't even think I could. And he was terrified. I remember we were about to go to bed one night and he said, Chanda, I don't want to lose you. I just found you. And so now I had everyone, even my husband, against me having that baby.
I mean, given the circumstance, I'm sure I can understand at least where they're coming from, but at the same time, yeah, I I'm sorry you had to go through that. But side note, I wouldn't be in that situation, but that's me. I'll cut that out, but yeah.
Um, I was so happy being pregnant. I could feel, I felt it right away. I even know what I knew it was her. I dreamed about it for 10 years.
Mm,
You know, these dreams that I tell you about that have recurring
yeah.
dreams. For 10 years, I dreamed about that baby. I dreamed about being in that apartment, holding a baby in a tilted space wheelchair that did not exist.
That that's crazy. I say crazy. What I mean is incredible.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
And it is. But I went to my bishop and I said, what do I do? I was getting weaker and weaker. I couldn't I couldn't eat. I felt myself dying. And him and his wife fasted for 3 days. And he came to me and he said that it would be okay to abort, but there would be no judgment.
Which, that makes sense. But that doesn't. You loved being pregnant. It still would be so hard.
It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I felt like those dreams were preparing me to be a mother. And right before the procedure, when they were putting me under, I was saying, Mommy loves you. And when they woke me up after that procedure, the doctor said, I never want to do this again. And that is something that I think about every day of my life.
Do you know what the doctor meant by that?
He didn't want to have to abort a baby again.
Okay, so him and his practice, or just he didn't want to see you in that position?
I don't know if he meant in his practice, but what he experienced when he was doing that procedure, excuse my language, but it fucked him up.
Did he explain to you what it was?
Mm-mm.
Never?
No. But anyway, we decided that we were going to have to move in order for us to have a better life.
You wouldn't want to be in the place that you saw in your dreams.
Mm.
No.
So we decided, I had never been to San Angelo, and I'd never been, well, I had been to Austin one time. And we were trying to find places that had public transportation
Okay.
for people in wheelchairs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And his family was from Ballinger, Texas. And he had a brother, the one that he was closest to, lived in San Angelo.
Okay.
And so I decided, well, let's move there. Because at least we would have family.
Yeah.
And I thought I was moving into this, great, Mormon family. Like you picture in your head.
Yeah.
Mormons are, have great families.
Many do, but
Many do, but many don't.
many don't.
We're just ordinary, average folks, just
Yep.
doing the best we can.
Yeah.
But being there turned out to be different than I expected. But it was good in a lot of ways. Um, he went to work. You know, he had a job. We lived in a nice apartment for about a year. And then we decided that we needed to buy a house.
Okay.
And we did. We bought our first home and, had it all fixed up, modified.
Yeah. Is that where you had the monkey?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She had a monkey, everybody. It was
Yeah.
quite cute. I won't try to pull up the picture now, but it is cute. And it was an actual monkey. It was a helping hands monkey that would
Uh-huh.
go around and grab her things and, help her and serve
Like
her, which was
if if I wanted a book, I had a laser. I would shine the laser on the book and say, "Do fetch," and she would do fetch. Or if I wanted to turn the light on, I would shine the laser on the light switch,
and she'd just jump up and get it.
and you would say, "Do sun," and she would turn the light on. And like she would get me drinks and open them. And
Like cans?
mhm,
Oh
bottles. Bottles were
wow.
better. And she would put the straw in, put the straw in my mouth.
And hold it for you? Like,
Hmm.
I want a helping hands monkey.
It takes a lot
I'm
to train them.
I'm sure it's not practical
They
in just a normal scenario, but
Judy Judy Zazula was the founder of the organization,
mm-hmm.
and her college friend, had this idea that they could uh, train. First, they were thinking chimpanzees,
Mm,
but they're too big.
yeah.
And they tried howler monkeys, and they're too loud
Yeah.
and too powerful.
That's in the name.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah,
That's wonderful.
they started breeding their own monkeys. At first, they were rescuing them,
Mm-hmm.
like from like lab monkeys.
That'd be hard
The
because how do
first
you
one was a rescue, I believe.
mm,
And Chi Chi actually was one of the first, but she had not been placed in a home yet. I was the first person in Texas to have one.
mm,
Anyway, I started getting really sick, and the doctors didn't know what I had. And I ended up, you know, I can't remember the first one. If my caregiver found me, I think she did. Anyway, I ended up on life support. I was on life support for 8 days that time, and I don't remember anything.
okay.
And 6 months later, I died again. Same situation on life support. 4 days that time.
Do you remember anything
And
then?
no, when I woke up, I fired my entire team. When I say team, I'm not talking about my caregivers, I'm talking about the doctors that were over my care.
Mm.
And they brought in new doctors. Dr. Stephen Coates saved my life. He came in, sat down, and listened. He sat in my room for probably 20 minutes. And everybody knows, if you've ever been to a doctor, they don't sit in your room for 5 minutes.
Yeah, they don't. Just get them through.
But he listened, and he said, "You know what, Chanda? I think you're right." And they started testing me for everything that I thought was wrong, and I turned out to be right.
Trying to get doctors to take you seriously when it comes to your own experience. If you find one that has that, don't get rid of them, because it's hard to find them.
I'm sorry, hands.
Yeah, take care of it.
But he put me on an antibiotic to kill the bacteria that I had, and I was allergic to the antibiotic. And it was one of the only, there were only two known to man that would kill that bacteria.
Oh.
And he said, "We have one more shot." He said, "This has to work." And I took my antibiotic every day, and I felt like shit.
So it was one of those heavy duty ones.
I still felt like, I just felt like death.
Yeah.
And the last day, the last pill I took, I started to feel a little bit better. And from then on out, I got better and better.
Oh.
And 2 years later, I can't remember who it was. I met somebody that was a social worker, and we became really good friends.
Okay.
And she told me, "You know, you would be great as a social worker." That's what I've always wanted to do, because I have a lot of resources in my head.
Yeah. You've been through a lot.
Yeah. And I could teach people, how to be independent.
Yeah.
So I interviewed for an independent living center
Okay.
as a case manager and got the job.
Nice.
I was in the Lions Club. I was affiliated with Miss Wheelchair Texas.
Okay.
I was getting ready to go to. They've changed the name of it, but back then it was called the Crippled Children's Camp.
Okay.
But since we've got so politically correct,
Yeah,
they had to change the name. So
of course. And then they'll probably have to change the name again in
yeah,
another 10 years.
I think it's called the Lions Camp for children or something like that. It was in Kerrville.
Hmm.
But the girl that was taking care of me the day that we were getting ready to go on my trip, she was brand new, and we trained her for one day, and I always trained for 2 days. First day, they watch and observe and take notes. Second day, they put their hands in. And she did the first day, and I didn't have anybody that could work the next day to train her. So I didn't have any choice other than to just stick her in. So, against my better judgment, I let her come in. She set me up in my bed. I always had breakfast in bed because it was just easier, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you might think it'd be nice, we get breakfast in bed. It's like a treat, but it makes sense that, if they're going to be serving you anyway.
Yeah, trying to get me dressed in my chair to a breakfast table is too much trouble, you know? And then have to, 30 minutes later, undress me and get me on the toilet and in the shower and all that.
Yeah.
So I just sat up in bed and ate breakfast, and then they would transfer me. And I ate my breakfast, and I was telling her what I wanted to pack, and she was getting my bags ready.
And at this point, how long had you been a social worker and been working in that capacity?
Wasn't very long. It was like 2 or 3 months. I think
Okay.
3 months.
Gotcha.
But I loved it.
Yeah.
But I had this gut feeling, don't let her touch you. Stay in bed. But I went against my gut.
We had a plan. You were going to go on a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to use the bathroom too.
Oh, well, I guess that's a. Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
But the day before, when we were training her, I went over and over and over about don't forget to put the pins in the chair. And what I mean is this chair, it's a shower slash toilet potty chair.
Okay.
Made out of PVC pipe. And the top of the chair was attached by pins.
Okay.
And when you wheel the chair over into the bathroom and over the toilet, use the bathroom, and then it hooks up to a part that's in the bathtub, and you pull the pins out, slide it over,
Okay.
and you're in the shower.
Okay, so bing bada bang.
Yeah. And then you put the pins back in. she forgot to put the pins in. And she had just transferred me and took the sling out and set me forward. And she was saying, I'm doing such a good job, ain't I? And right as she said that, boom. On the cold, hard Sotil tile floor. It was hard. And she was a CNA, and CNAs are trained that when your patient falls, you go down with them. And she did. But me being so fragile, because I've never walked, or anything, and your body just deteriorates.
Yeah.
I've had osteoporosis diagnosed when I was 20.
Man.
Severe. Like, you could look at an x-ray of my bones. I call them ghost bones because you can see straight through them.
Oh, wow. That's like all of your bones?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I have degenerative disc disorder. My vertebrae, the cushiony stuff that protects your nerves.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Wow.
So, like when we were talking about pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would.
I'm in serious pain.
That's rough. I understand pain to a degree, but I can't even put it on a similar scale. I can't even understand it.
Anyway, I ended up in the hospital with a broken hip. The whole ball came off.
That's
completely off. And for 8 days, I would not let them touch me.
I can't imagine why.
And on the 9th day, my caregiver, John,
Which is a stud, by the way. I like John. I don't know
John,
him, just what you've told me.
John he's a different kind of person, man. He very intelligent. He and I had the best conversations. I mean, he could get deep right with me. He understood everything I said.
And you get deep.
Mm-hmm. You ain't said nothing.
I wish we had more conversations. Yeah. I do.
But he came in and he said, all right, Big Bad John's here, and you're gonna turn over and you're gonna sit up and you're gonna drink as much of this apple juice as you can get down. And I knew it was he said, and you stink.
Thanks, John.
And he had the nurse come in and help him sit me up a little bit, and I drank like 2 sips. And he goes, okay, you did good. And I laid back down and he goes, now we're going to do it again in an hour.
So I'm sure that was horrible.
It was.
Yeah.
I was in the hospital for 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I was fighting for my life. It was really hard. I remember looking over at my mom. She had come, from Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm in trouble, Anna. And she goes, yes, you are. Because she was a nurse and my mother.
Okay.
And she knew.
She didn't think
But,
you were going to make it.
but, but I did.
Yeah.
Because I'm me.
Yeah.
And
You got things to do.
I remembered who I was. And I took my power back. And I made my mind up that I was going to get out of that hospital. They tried making this stupid brace because I was in a hospital in San Angelo, Texas, and they know nothing about my disease. And nobody wanted to touch me. So there was no surgery to repair the hip. And they made this stupid brace that didn't do any good at all. And John told the doctor, send her home and I'm going to fix her with pillows.
With pillows?
Mm-hmm. And
Just
he did.
stuffing them in there and
Yeah.
moving them around?
Yeah, and see, John, like, he knew the human body. And he knew how to fix people.
Oh, wow. That's a gift.
Yeah, he has it. I wish he remembered that. But that's another story. But John got me back, home and fixed me with pillows, and eventually I got to where I could get in my chair. I need to mention that when they sent me home on home health care, which means there's a nurse that comes out, once or twice a week to check on you. And they might take your vitals and make sure you're okay,
Did you still have your workers and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a different entity.
Okay.
But my nurse, her name was Lisa. I had gotten to be friends with her. She was really sweet.
Mm.
She came in. She said that it would be the last time that she saw me, and she had lost her job. She was going to be moving to San Antonio. I was upset. I was freaking out. I didn't know what to do. And she said, well, oh, I didn't mention, she told me that the company had gone bankrupt, their home health care division. And they were closing, and like, what? Nobody told me this. And she said, but you qualify for hospice, and the company's hospice division was still going strong.
Okay.
And at first I was like, I don't, I don't qualify for that.
Yeah.
I'm not dying. And she said, well, since Obamacare has been in place, um, hospice is no longer about just death.
Okay.
They could do pain management and keep me comfortable. And that was a big issue
Yeah.
because I had a pain management doctor, but I kept missing my appointments because I couldn't get there.
Well, yeah, yeah.
And that is still an issue. That's a big issue. And I can't believe nobody has thought to change things, you know, for people that are stuck in their home in a bed.
Yeah, for real. Like, yeah. Because, I mean, people don't want to touch it because it's just so. They, they've made it a situation that when you're on pain medication, they put you in this category along with
Tell
people
me.
who are just taking and doing it because they want to get high. But no, they don't think about the pain. They the people that are making these policies, they're just like, whatever, just, you know, you're getting something from us, so you gotta work around the system and jump through these hoops, and it's just ridiculous
It is
for those
ridiculous.
that really need it. Like those that don't, yeah, I get it, but goodness,
But
I could go on
anyway,
about that a lot. So
I know, me too. I went on uh, hospice, and the lady that came out to bring my what they called a comfort kit,
okay,
it had all kinds of little goodies in it. Yeah, that I didn't even touch them because I didn't know what they were, and I was
right,
afraid.
yeah. You don't want to put something in your body you don't know.
But she was about to put a patch on me, and I said, "Wait, what is that?" And she said, "It's like morphine."
Mm,
And I had taken morphine, so I was good with that.
yeah.
But what she put on me was not morphine at all.
What was it?
Fentanyl.
Okay.
And for you guys that don't know what fentanyl is, it's like probably 100 times stronger than morphine. It's a whole different ball game, and it really should only be given to critical patients.
Yeah. And yeah, because you can't make a mistake. You can't make a mistake because if you do, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
So like, because it's so strong and it's so the smallest amount of change or mistake can just kill you.
Mm-hmm. But I was on hospice for, get this, 7 years.
Which you don't think. Oh, there you are. You're back. Oh, your sound. We are in.
Where was I?
Uh, the fentanyl patch.
Okay. Oh, I was on hospice for 7 years.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
And I decided that something was not right, because the kind of people that were coming in and taking care of me were the type of people that I did not want to be around. And
Yeah.
when you attract people like that, there's something wrong. And I thought to myself, maybe you should get off the drugs. So,
Which is scary,
yeah.
considering the pain you were in.
hmm But oh my goodness. Okay. Um, the first thing I did was I backed off of the morphine because I was taking fentanyl, morphine, gabapentin, lorazepam.
So benzos along with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm smart enough to know how to do it safely.
Yeah.
And it took me a couple of weeks to get off of morphine. And I did go through withdrawals even though I was still on the fentanyl.
Yeah, you would.
And I quit taking everything, but I did it a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
And then it got to where it was time to rip off that patch. And I ripped it off and didn't put another one back on. And for 5 days, I did pretty good. And then all of a sudden, it it hit me, and it hit me hard
Why is there a delay?
because fentanyl goes into your deep, deep tissue, like your organs and everything.
Okay.
And it takes time for
Yeah.
it to.
That makes sense.
But anybody out there, if your doctor ever even suggests fentanyl, say no. Any kids out there, you want to experiment with drugs, and somebody hands you some fentanyl, don't do it.
Yeah. And know what you are taking because fentanyl gets laced with things often, way too often. That's part of the reason that so many people are getting,
The
are
stuff
dying.
on the streets is different than what they give you, what doctors give you.
Okay.
But I got real, real sick. And my caregivers were new at that point. I hired a whole new crew of people. And they didn't know me well enough to know or be able to identify that something was wrong and what to do.
That makes sense. Their baseline was you being in that position you were.
Mm-hmm. And there was some. See, I'm not real clear on what took place first, but there were some really strange things that were going on, miracles, like I started being able to move, like move my legs
And this
around.
is while you're going through withdrawals, or is this post that?
After, it was
After.
after.
Okay, so.
This is like I had been off of everything for about 3 months, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 months. I was raising my arms up. I haven't done that since I was a kid.
Wow.
And putting my head back, lifting up.
Which, as we discussed, you couldn't do that.
No.
Did the doctors know why?
No.
That's awesome.
Nobody could give me any answers.
Wow.
And one day, my caregivers were showering me.
Mm-hmm.
And they were both Hispanic.
Okay.
And they were talking in Spanish to each other. And I started talking with them.
Huh?
And
like you don't speak Spanish, right?
Mm-mm. The girl in front of me said, I didn't know you spoke Spanish. And I looked at her, I was confused. And the other girl put her hands on, each side of my face. And she looked me right in the eyes and said, Chanda, you are speaking Spanish.
Did she say that in Spanish?
No.
Okay, so she was telling you.
She was telling me in English, you were speaking Spanish. I think.
I guess maybe it wasn't Spanish.
I can't really tell you because I didn't even know I was speaking Spanish, so.
Yeah, that's like it. So you were basically speaking and understanding both English and Spanish at the exact same time and not being able to tell the difference of what you were doing.
Yes.
That's crazy. That's way cool. And that just lasted for that period of time?
It was about a month. There were some really interesting things happening. Like, it's so hard to say these things because it sounds so crazy.
But if it happened,
it happened.
It happened. And so let us bear witness today exactly what did happen, and let's just put it out there.
For example.
For example, and then you paused. I'll pause the recording.